Welcome to the Breakthrough Moments podcast, a podcast where challenges meet opportunities. I'm Harold, and together with my co-host Lasse, we explore stories of innovators, leaders, professionals, and entrepreneurs and how they turn obstacles into game-changing breakthroughs. Get ready for insights that inspire and lessons that last. Subscribe now and let's dive into the moments that define success. Welcome to this episode of the Breakthrough Moments podcast. Today we have the pleasure of speaking with Jean-Michel D'Oultremont, the CEO of Caramel Publishing, a company that has been creating and distributing children's books worldwide for over a decade. Under Jean-Michel's leadership, Caramel Publishing has navigated a significant industry challenges, from global financial crisis to the COVID-19 pandemic, by fostering a culture of transparency and respect. Jean-Michel's story is one of resilience and innovation, where every obstacle became an opportunity to reinforce the company's values and commitments to its stakeholders. Welcome to the podcast, Jean-Michel.
Thank you.
So we've had a conversation prior to this, and we've gotten to know each other a bit better, and I've gotten to learn more about Caramel Publishing, the stories behind the company, and what you guys have been through. But for those that don't know you or Caramel Publishing, could you care to give us a short introduction?
Thank you. Well, before buying Caramel, already 17 years ago, I had another life, and I was an investment banker in the Anglo-Saxon world. So I had 25 years of trading markets in Brussels first, and Singapore, then London. Quite good, challenging years. But trading, everything was money and power. Then, for family reason, we went back to Belgium in 2005, and it was an opportunity for me to say, what do I want to do with my life? And I had this opportunity to buy Caramel Publishing, and well, it was to me quite important because it was already selling books, children books, a bit everywhere in the world. It was then a real opportunity for me to talk to all the children in the world with good values, thinking that I could bring something educational and contribute to a better world. Now, my shirt is wide open, of course, but it's a little bit what I had in mind. And that was quite exciting when I started.
Yeah. And you mentioned that you acquired it 17 years ago, so that's around the financial crisis or the verge of the financial crisis. I remember we talked about that. It was a difficult beginning. How did you kind of like go ahead? How was the experience acquiring a company just out of kind of like the banking days into acquiring that and navigating that turbulent macro environment that basically was the financial crisis in 2007, 2008?
Well, life is always full of surprises. So I bought Caramel in 2007, more or less the end of the year, and beginning of 2008, the big financial crisis. So, before buying, I was very careful with big business plans, the best I could have with the worst scenario I could have, and so forth and so forth. And guess what? After 2 or 3 months in business, I had to put all my business cases in the dustbin. So I had to, figure out, gosh, what's going on here? So I started to listen a lot to the clients. Some of the clients died in that crisis because they couldn't change, they couldn't evolve, they couldn't adapt, they couldn't restructure. So I will listen a lot to my clients, or to the key clients of the bank of the business, which was new to me anyway at that time. Then you have the people working for you, and you said, well, I've always been impressed by a book called The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, and in that book you have the king asking Le Petit Prince, the Little Prince, to do something, and the Little Prince says, "No, I won't." So if he thinks a little bit, and he comes back with a good question. Dear little prince, what is it that you want to do? And then the little prince said, and then he said, I'd like you to do that. And clearly what I did was listening to the staff and trying to understand what they think we should do and what they would like to do at the same time. And then I had the clients on one side, the staff on the other side, and I mixed up the whole thing. And with the team, I told them, look, that's what you want to do. That's what the clients want to do. And we mixed the whole thing all together and we ended up with new products. Also, by that time, I was on my own at the helm of Caramel. And I just thought that being on my own, that's a little bit tough. And I probably need someone to help me managing Caramel. So I opened up my address book and I found a few people I would be happy to work with. And then I had actually 9 people that I knew that I had worked with in the past in my previous trading life and so on mainly in London. And 5 of them told me immediately, Jean-Michel, I'm with you. And then I went for the guy who was probably different from myself, which was somebody who could help me a lot because I'm more, pushing, and he's more trying to decrease the speed at which we were doing. The two together, we're also a good team because he's the one trying to temper what I'm doing. Those are probably the key thing. And then always when you decide on something, you might make mistake. Just go for it, believe in yourself, and don't give up.
Yeah. You mentioned that you had to work with your employees and the clients. In this instance with Caramel, who are the clients? Because I think for people like publishing children's books, okay, is it the end consumers, those reading the books, or what's the definition of clients in this instance?
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a difficult one actually because the key client is actually the end consumer. But we don't sell to them. We sell to publishers worldwide. We sell, our books are more mass market books. And if you want to reach all children in the world, you need to find the clients who are going to sell your books in the mass market so that you can have, you can reach almost all children in the world. But that also means that you need a very low price. When a publisher meets me and he looks at our new books, and well, the first thing is that he's going to take it in his hand, weight the book, and says, "Well, I can buy 6,000 of them for 65 cents. Can you do it?" That's the challenge.
Yeah.
That's how it goes. But yes, our clients are actually the other publishers worldwide.
Yeah. There was one key thing that I took out of the previous conversation that we had a few, is a week or two ago, where
2 weeks ago. Yeah.
where one of the things that you mentioned was that through all of the hardship, the challenges, entry in terms of the financial crisis, the pandemic that we're also going to go through a bit later, you mentioned and you urged the importance of transparency towards clients, suppliers, employees, everyone involved, all parties involved. And I really like that. And can you share a specific instance or situation where transparency played a crucial role in actually gathering everyone and building or rebuilding that trust among the stakeholders?
Well, I can give you many, but there was one that I had this morning preparing actually this podcast. When in this crisis in 2008, at the beginning, I realized that I was not aligned on my staff, or my staff was not aligned on me. I was coming from 24 years of business and management, Anglo-Saxon management, where the mountain is there, and how do you get there? And by any means, you make sure that everybody gets there. Well, I was back on the continent, the European continent, coming back from a total different planet, actually.
Mm-hmm.
which is the Anglo-Saxon way of thinking. And we had a coach actually coming, and he listened to me, he listened to the team, and then he came back and said, Jean-Michel, can we go in a private room? Because we all work, in an open plan office. And he said, well, it's good you are sitting and you are right. The staff is going one way and you go another way. And I said, yeah. So how do I take them to go with me? And he said, no. On the European continent, we don't go that way. You go take the team and you try to go with them, and all together you go into the same direction. Wow, that was pretty new to me in after 24 years of money, power, and so on. And you just go and you pay people, and they know it's soft, and you have to be
Mm-hmm.
very, very different. Clearly, you ask yourself, wow, I have to reinvent myself. And the key was really explaining to people, some of the problems you could have softly, and how all together you can do better. And for that, you need to be transparent. And when the,
Mm-hmm.
the company goes well, you tell them. And when you have, good deals, big deals, we all celebrate together. And when it's tough, you tell them and you say, well, that's that's the accounting. Things are a little bit difficult, and we had times where now my business associate and myself, we don't pay ourselves, but
Mm-hmm.
we tell them what's important to us is that the company survives and that they are being paid, like all the suppliers. And we are behind that. We are not important. What's important is the total. And if we don't pay ourselves for some time, we don't do it. But we tell them. They need
Yeah.
to know that. So we are transparent. And the same with our printers, sometimes our clients, when we have financial problems, and life has had many surprises for us, whether it was the COVID, whether it was the financial crisis, or many other times. Then we ask a little bit more time to pay to our printers. We ask our clients sometimes, hey, could you pay us a little bit earlier? But we are transparent about this, and we explain, and we tell them, look, we try to do good books. We have always been there for you. We need you a little bit, on our side for the moment, and that's helping a lot. That's helping a lot. And the same when you need to create something new. Well, I don't think it's coming, just like this. It's because you brainstorm, you talk to everybody, you open up your mind, and you try to see what can come up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember. I really like that. That the the path out of the storm was transparency. Because I remember we talked a bit about this last time as well. In terms of, I believe at least most, you could call it C-suite, CEOs, founders, managers. It's pretty difficult being that transparent and open, because like if you share that, you're sharing weakness. Everyone can kind of like cut you down, and you never know. But it's through that you actually build trust. At least that's how I see it. So I really liked it when you mentioned that, and you touched briefly upon kind of like COVID. That introduced a series of challenges. I remember you mentioned last time in terms of the disruption of supply chain worldwide, drastic increase in shipping costs. I remember you mentioned something about the multiple per container shipping container, and I was like mind blown by the increase. Like, what could you kind of like take us through? What happened during the years of the pandemic? What challenges came up, and what lessons did you guys take from that period in time?
That was an interesting time because again, you think you are sailing, it's fine, and suddenly the storm is there, but a really really tough one. And I love sailing, that's why I'm saying this. Then the storm is there, and sailing is becoming really really tough. So what happened is that first my business associate and myself, we had this COVID. Took us a few weeks. We two of us we thought at some point that we would die actually, but after 4 weeks we were back. We came back to the office, even if it was not really if we couldn't really, because everybody had to stay at home. But we decided that if we wanted our business to survive, and there were many rules, regulations to help people and so on. But for small companies, you don't have anything.
Yeah.
So the two of us, we came back to the office every day. We had our teams at home. We started to continue to work with the team because anyway we had containers all over the world sailing. We are selling books, through big book fairs for professionals. It was March. That was mid-March 2022, 2020. Sorry. And the one of the two big fairs in the world were just end of March, cancelled in Bologna, and so we couldn't meet our clients. That's where we sell. We thought, wow, we don't have any marketing, we don't have any communication in place, we don't have anything. So mid-April, when the two of us were back in the office, we asked ourselves, what do we do now? And we thought hard and we said, well, we need to do videos about all our new products. Okay, who's going to do that? And then we had a professional to do that, and we saw the cost, and we just said, whoop, we are not going to be able to pay that. We don't have any money left in our treasury. So we thought about students, interns. And then we said, yeah, actually they could do videos, but they could help us a lot in our marketing, in our communication. People, how do communicate, LinkedIn, of course, Instagram, TikTok. We were both, my business associate and myself, 60 plus, not really or 40. So we thought, wow, let's have interns to help us on all those things. We had in the office only interns because our staff was sticked at home, but interns were dying to come to an office to do things. And but they were so happy to start from a blank piece of paper to tell us what to do for communication, for marketing strategy, making videos and so on, and it changed our world. So that's really how we reacted, and it was quite exciting because we came every day in the office with all those young people trying to communicate to the world, and so we did develop a YouTube platform. We have a YouTube channel. We did the same for the Chinese market on Bilibili. It was just fun for us. Not too much business, but at least we were alive, doing things. And when you do things which are fun, you believe in yourself and you believe in your future. So even if we were running out of money, we knew we had a future, and that was the most important.
Yeah. I find it interesting how, and that's a bit about the essence of this podcast as well. And I also believe I gave this as kind of the background for the podcast when we spoke last. And that is how we will always be faced by challenges, no matter what. It could be the financial crisis, but that basically was the start of Caramel Publishing when we acquired it, to, in more recent years, the pandemic. And it's in those challenges, and I also like to label challenges as opportunities in disguise, because it helps us, or it forces us, quote unquote, to always look for new ways of doing things. It could be, okay, we have to go digital and have video, or look at how to communicate differently, how to open a new product, launch a new service. And it sounds like the pandemic opened up a new, like entirely new way of communicating with both clients and end users. And ultimately, that's a bit a part of like the role of innovation in business, in terms of how do you solve challenges, what do we need to achieve success. And one thing that you mentioned was the I Can Draw, the drawing book series, when we spoke last, and how that became something that completely changed, okay, the focus in terms of what books should we do, what should we focus on, what audience. How did you kind of like, how did you guys come up with the idea of drawing books, and how do you work on fostering this culture of innovation, creativity, thinking about new things, because that's not necessarily a given in company cultures?
Well, we have every 6 months we have an offer, which we try to have quite wide, and we have some traditional books, but we always try to come with new concepts. Now, those new ideas, new concepts, are they going to work? We have no clue, and the some of these ideas have come up to the market a very very strange way. So it's a lot about listening to clients. Clients don't always know what they want. So when I meet them, almost always very tired afterwards because I look at their body language, not only what they say, but sometimes their body language is expressing something very different, and you have to try to read through that. They don't know themselves what they want, but their body language can sell other things, and that's what you try to find. So we had come up with a concept which is I Can Draw, which is a book with a wire, a book to color. And the wire is because we need to put in the book stencils where children can take the stencils and then with a pencil, they can draw on the blank piece of paper. They can draw a little girl or whatever, and then they can a color in. So it was completely new, and it's something we print in Malaysia, but this product we had to find it in China. So when we buy it, we have to, we have to send it to Malaysia, assemble the whole thing. So it's complex stuff, but we came up to the market with this idea after trying to understand what some clients wanted. And then at the first book fair, we showed that it was a flop, a complete flop. Only one client bought it. It was a Dutch client, and he put it on the market. He had bought, I don't know, there were two books times 3,000 copies. And after 2 days, the client called back and said, I need to buy much more. Everything is gone. So we said, oops, it takes us 4 months to produce again because we at that price we have to go to Asia and so forth and so forth. But it tells you something. So at the next book fair, we chose one publisher per country that we believed would be the right one, and we told them, believe us, close your eyes and do a small quantity. Do a small quantity, and most of them did that, and we've been reprinting that for all of them for 10 years. We've sold probably 5 million of those books. We have, of course, made additional books and but that has been a great story. Sometimes you have to see what's going on, listen to your clients, but then you have to push some of them and believe us, it's going to be amazing. We had Atlas, an Atlas series. We are now just finishing the 14 Atlas. How did it happen? Very simple. The same day in a book fair, we had this old atlas. I don't know if you have known that, but at my age, we had big atlas, 100 pages, only maps, really boring. And one client told me, and we were still trying to sell them, and clients was telling us that's not really what children want. And I said, what do you think will work? Well, you do, a 24-page atlas, only a few maps, lots of small text, lots of stickers, a big map, soft cover. And we started with the first two books, and it was sold just like that. So we have continued to do Atlas, and now we have also sold, I think we have sold for the moment 3.5 million Atlas. And it's just a client coming with an idea, and then we try to convince in other countries to do it as well. But it's also because we're always open to some traditional products and always trying to do new ones. And we have a one range of product, and that's actually what most of our clients are telling us. It's nice working with us because we always come to the market every 6 months with new concept, new ideas. And we have been the first one to come with gadget on the cover of the cover, like some people have, in the magazines that you can find in bookshops, in the magazine for children.
Hmm.
We've done that with books as well, and well, yeah, you have to
Yeah.
come up. Innovation is important with the kind of product that you put into the books.
Yeah. I think that's interesting. I truly believe that if you don't innovate and come up with new ways to move forward, you're actually not just even standing still, you're actually moving backwards because the entire market is actually trying to progress. It's so important. I remember during my studies, one thing that we had in the subject of innovation and business development was that you either have to disrupt yourself or you're going to be disrupted. And it's better to disrupt yourself than having someone else come in and disrupt your piece of the market or your position in the market and then you losing everything. It's better to cannibalize your own product than
Yeah,
losing
exactly.
market share.
Yeah.
Um, we've been, for the past couple of years after COVID and the pandemic, been experiencing a bit of a change in terms of the macro environment as well, in terms of inflation. And the wallet of people is a bit smaller in terms of what they spend on leisure and especially the category of what you guys offer in terms of children books. How have you seen kind of like the change been over the years since you started? Because like when you started, you had an iPhone, and then the entertainment has changed from being more analog paper books, magazines to now being more digital. How have you seen that change be, and how has it impacted Caramel, and what do you guys need to then do to try to maybe combat that, and also the that people spend money differently?
Well, it's clear that in the children books industry, you can imagine that our competitors are the other guys making books for children. Actually, not. Our
Mm,
biggest competitor is what the children actually can do on their free time.
yeah.
And what they can do on their free time is quite a lot of other things, more and more based on screens. So yeah, we tried many things actually. We tried apps on books. We lost a lot of money on that because your
Mm,
technology needs to be updated all the time, and that costs a lot of money. We have pure ebooks, and pure ebooks we don't sell too much. We are there, but it's obvious that
mm,
parents don't like their children to be on a screen because they know that they are not going to control them. So if it's for your educational books, the parents know that the children will move on pure
mm,
games and not really what you want them to do. So we have started a little bit with the audio. There is, to me, a little bit more future in the audio. But the key thing is that we have seen the volume of physical books going down in the years 2010. And for the last few years, we see the volume of physical books slightly going up again, actually.
mm,
That's good news. We position ourselves on the fun and educational. So we believe that to have the parents buying the books, you need to be educational. And we think it's our mission, actually. It's a worldwide mission.
mm,
It's to bring something positive and educational to the children of this world. So that's clearly in our mission. But being in the educational world, if you want the children to come back on books, it has to be fun.
yeah.
And the most exciting thing for us is that when we really insisted on that on the markets, we were contacted by Mattel. Mattel, it's Barbie, Fireman Sam, Polly Pocket, and Shantimals, and so on. And they chose us to do the fun and educational books. The way they sell books worldwide is that, like all big licenses, they slice everything. But and that's the coloring book, the sticker book, whatever. But the educational books, no one wanted to do that, and I think you need to have
Mm,
some. I mean, you need to be able to do that, and it's really what we can we do well and we like to do. So we were really proud of that. And since then, we do lots of books for, for the Panini Group and so forth. So it's quite exciting for us to do this. We actually started with the Smurfs, a Belgian company, and I was actually driving with my wife to the London Book Fair, a small book fair for professionals, and I was reading the financial paper, and there was a big page on the Smurfs, and I said aloud to my wife, "Wow, if we could do fun and educational books for the Smurfs, wow, to me that would be wow, just the right thing." And we arrived at the book fair, started to stand up the stand, and I had a friend there, and I told him that, and he said, "Well, I know them, and I think they come to the fair." And I told him, "Look, if you see them, you drop everything and you take them by the hand and you bring them to Maïs." And actually, I had been on the Belgian television two weeks before, explaining that we were doing fun and educational books and so forth. And actually, the person of the Smurfs, the representative, was there in front of me, and I saw the other guy coming and running and said, "That's her, that's her." And I said, I didn't know her name, and I said, "Mrs. Smurf, I think we need to talk to each other." And she said, "That's why I'm here."
Uh,
Blowing.
she'd
I mean,
seen you on the
that
TV
she had
previous.
seen me, and she,
Yeah.
they focus on what they do the best, the comics and so on. And she said, "Well, maybe we should do, fun and educational books." And that's how it started, and that's how we did the same for Le Petit Prince afterwards, The Little Prince, because that's one of my favorite books. So I went to see them, and then we could do that with Mattel. That was really the top.
Yeah.
So fun and educational is really how we are different from most of the other people on our market, and we think it's important, but it's also because it's clearly on our mission. If you go on our website, that's really, we want to be there. We want to be there for the children of the world. And that's one of the key things. If we can add, a little bit thing to this world, that's hoping we help children to open up their mind to more education.
Yeah, I like that because at one point the educational part makes it so that it could be quote unquote productive, and you can get the parents on board. The fun makes the children want it more. But there's so that's kind of like, I see how that addresses that. One thing I also think about is one thing that is in the, not necessarily in the wind, but one of the global agendas in the world today is sustainability, and having something that is, let's say, you have the ESG, you have sustainability, you have the environment, and all these things. And we talked about B Corp and how this is kind of like the approval or the certification or the label. Okay, we are addressing things in a sustainable way. And because one part is just the financial side of getting clients on your side in terms of, okay, let's do this in terms of buying books from you guys and then putting them out into the store. But I guess also these guys are also not just monetary, but they also need to take care in terms of, okay, how can we be sustainable throughout the entire supply chain? How is kind of like where did B Corp come in? And for those that aren't necessarily familiar with the term B Corp, like we discussed last time, kind of like, what is it?
Well, I didn't know anything about B Corp, let's say 4 years ago. My children, late 20s, early 50s, were talking about the Graal of the Graal, the best in the world. And they were talking about B Corp. And I said, "But what's that?" And I looked at me, but that's the most important. B Corp, it's good governance. You do something good for the world because you do something for the people and you do something for the environment. And it's very, very, very strict. So I said, "Okay, but I'm doing things for children. We try to have our paper, FSC paper, which means that for every book which is cut, there are 6 trees planted,
Mm.
that the water, is reused, that the ink is good for children. We do so many good things. So yeah, maybe I should. And I started to contact them, and then I said, wow, 200 questions. People are saying it's 2 years of work, and wow, wow, wow. And then I met somebody from, a consultant who helped me on a few other things. And I talked to him about this and said, wow, yes, that's a good idea. He said, let me think about it. And he came back, and in my old university in Louvain-la-Neuve, there was a team of students which in their free time was just helping small companies like mine to fill in all the questions for the B Corp. And it was not expensive at all. So I said, yeah, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to have a few of my interns helping me on this
Mm-hmm.
because it's very administrative, which is not too much what I like to do. And then it took us 2 years actually. We had to change a lot of our process.
Mm-hmm.
You had to prove, that you are taking care of your staff, taking care of your suppliers, taking care of your clients. All the stakeholders are being part of that. What you do exactly, your product, that it's a good product, and you had to put also in the status of the company that your mission becomes something very high level. And so we had to change a lot of things. It took us 2 years with that company helping us in Louvain-la-Neuve and my interns. We got it. Very proud of that. There is still a long way to go because things are changing every day. But it's in the way we process everything anyway now, which is exciting. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you do, your product is for the children of the world. We just thought maybe we should be the one being B Corp. And when I talk to the staff about it, everybody says, "Wow, what a great challenge!" Everybody was involved because we all had to
Mm-hmm.
change some of our process and so on. So it's a team change, of course, but to get that is actually just amazing because you think you do something positive,
Yeah.
not only for you, but you do something really positive in this world, which is so exciting, and the team feels it. So you have the team with you. We still, for instance, we need to still make more noise about it to our clients that they understand what it is. But anyway, you have to start somewhere, otherwise you never
Yeah.
do anything. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but we have done the first step, and now we need to conscientize, everybody on that. So still a lot of work, but yeah, we can be proud on ourselves. And at least I have, grandchildren, so I can look at them in the eyes and I'm doing something for their world.
Yeah, it's interesting because I'm having a lot of these discussions and these podcasts and the calls prior to podcasts and talking with a lot of inspiring individuals and businesses. And one thing that is becoming a recurring thing is how, especially for us business owners and founders, that the primary focus is often, and in the majority of the cases, how can I do good in the world at some level? How can I make a change? How can I make an impact? How can I do that? I had a podcast the other week with a gentleman running a company where he helps companies outsource IT to Egypt. But and a part of the challenge that they face there is the perception of Egypt as okay, IT hub in Egypt. I don't think so, but it really is. And he said that like his ultimate goal and what he really likes to see is okay, how can I see the impact that I have on not just the employees but the families and making the local environment and the people in that have it better and be better off. And because I think ultimately, no matter what we do, it's how can we have a positive impact at some level, either very high level or at the lower level as well. The next thing that I want to go through is you are at a stage where um, you are looking for a successor for someone to take over Caramel, take the baton, and kind of like continue the race, to say. What qualities are you looking for in a successor, and how do you envision that you stepping more back and letting someone else come in and take over is going to affect the future of Caramel?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. The
Gotta ask
impossible
the tough
question. The
questions.
impossible question. Well, I guess it's probably the key thing for me will be not to be too much involved when I find someone, not to be too much involved in what that person is going to do,
Mm-hmm.
which is not necessarily easy when it's your money, your business, and your baby, and so forth. Now, how will be that person? What qualities? It's going to be someone that's going to be capable of driving a business, and definitely not like me.
Mm-hmm.
And the business also need a big change. The business needs people with new eyes. The best probably is like me when I bought the company, to come from a very different business with
Mm-hmm.
an open mind. Really, the problem I face today is that most probably I've been myself way too long in this business, and chance is actually something which probably we see all passing in front of your eyes every day, and you have to see it and to seize it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I need. I think we need it's someone coming with a fresh mind, new eyes, no baggage
Mm-hmm.
on the shoulders of that kind of business, coming with, you know, another style and being capable of that. It's actually one of my daughter who studied psychology, and we had done an amazing book, and we didn't know how important that book was. It's a book that we had
Mm-hmm.
made for the Smurfs. And you have, for instance, a scenery to watch, and you have a double cover, and you hide the question on top, and you just see the scenery. You play this with a child, and you lose 100% of the time. So then you open up the question, and you hide the scenery. We had done that with the Smurfs, which is quite exciting, and so on. And it's my daughter who's told me, but that's the basics in psychology. With life, with experience, with your age, you make lots of filters for
Mm-hmm.
yourself in front of your eyes, because you have lots of experience, and the smarter you are, the more filters you put yourself in front of your eyes. So try that. I tell you, try that. It's amazing. Do it with a child. You look at, you look at a painting, and then you do that with a child, and then you ask someone else. You don't look at it anymore, and you ask someone else to have a question about some details. The children will get it, and most probably, because you will look at something with tons of filters, and so
Yeah.
you look what you want to, you see what you want to really see, and
Yeah.
that's why with the time, and at my very old age, it's really time to run away as fast as possible and to give a free hand to someone. So the qualities, I don't know, it's just someone who is going to be open with fresh mind, new eyes, and lots of ideal,
Mm-hmm.
working for the children of the world. And I will try not to interfere too much with my own experience, and just to be there when, and that's my big fear, not to find the right people, but to be myself
Mm-hmm.
enough aware of that. And like I always said, when you manage a company, you have to believe in yourself and make sure you never give up. And here, well, if I hire someone, it's going to believe in that person and not giving up on that. And that person will make mistakes. We all make mistakes. Um, but my my big challenge, personal challenge, will have to be to refrain myself of,
Yeah.
of you know
Not being too involved. or micromanaging.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that, but I really like the fact that you said someone that doesn't necessarily have a decade of experience in book publishing, but comes from a different sector, so that they can have that completely fresh pair of eyes. And I like to say that if we as adults could find our way back to the hopeful curiosity children have, or view the world through the eyes of children, of kids, we're going to be able to create things that we wouldn't have imagined that we could. I read a study about, they did a study about how many are creative in different age groups. And they started on 5-year-olds that just started kind of like at school, 5 and 6-year-olds. And then they did like the 10-year-olds, and then the 15-year-olds. And I think they ended at 30. And when you talk with 5-year-olds, I think for the category creative geniuses, I think 99% of them are in that category. Like 30, it's less than 2%. And that's addressing the filters that you mentioned that we add to our mind, our way of thinking, how we see things. And I think that going back to the exercise of approach the task or something like that with someone that is really, really young, you'll get a completely different perspective on things. And I have one final question now to end the podcast, Jean-Michel, and that is, if you could get an answer to one question related to Caramel and what you do, what would it be, and what would you like to know?
I guess when you manage people and you try to understand the new generation, you realize that you don't think at all the same way. You don't react the same way. You don't behave the same way. So, what is actually the younger generation? What are they looking for? How can they how do they behave? And that's the most important, because when you manage a company, you have to be able to manage it with a staff that, and you
Mm-hmm.
go all together. And going with this the young generation now, the 20 plus, it's very difficult actually to sometimes understand them, what makes them move, what makes them live, what's and their behavior is also quite important and changing. So it's how do what do they have in mind? How do we need to manage them? How can we match this? It's not an easy one. I find
Mm-hmm.
it very difficult, and it's also important because the products of tomorrow will have to respond to their needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they will be the new parents, and
Mm-hmm.
one way or the other, even if the grandparents still buy a lot of books for the grandchildren, it's still, they are changing the world. Actually, going to the Grand Messe of Mattel every year, as we are, part of them at some point. We listen to the big marketers of Mattel, and we see one thing. What they listen to for the moment is the behavior of the 30, 35 years old, because
Mm-hmm.
those are the ones changing the behavior, the buying behavior in the world for the moment. And at my age, whether I like it or not, if I want to buy something, as they change the behavior, some shops are closing. So I have to buy as they buy, on the net or whatever. And I see the younger generation, the one we will be 35 in a few years' time, they are again very different. So we need to
Mm-hmm.
be prepared for that generation, and they comes with so many surprises. And that's what I'd like to know and to understand better.
Yeah. I think it's a good question. Good question. Important thing to learn, an important thing to understand, because things are changing. And I think it's a nice question for the listeners, for the viewers to also contemplate, reflect on, and think about in hindsight, maybe a couple of years back. But Jean-Michel, it's been a pleasure to have you on. If someone wants to reach out, learn more, where can I reach out and where can I find you?
If they go on the website of Caramel, www.caramel.be. There is my email address. They can reach me on that. We have a YouTube channel, so probably they can reach Caramel that way and find me. We are on LinkedIn. We try to be active on LinkedIn. On the social platforms we are in as well. But going onto our Caramel website is probably the easiest. Yeah. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Perfect. So we're going to try to make sure that the links are in the comments on YouTube when this episode is published, so that people can find it there. But again, the website caramel.be.
Yeah, you can
LinkedIn.
you can put my email at the same time, of course.
Yeah, but wonderful. Jean-Michel, it's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast. It's been an inspiring story. And hopefully the listeners and the viewers also have found your story, how you tackled the challenges that has been since the financial crisis and along the way, to be inspiring as well. So thank you for being part of the podcast.
The future anyway is exciting, so that's good.
Yeah, but thank you. And
thank you, Hal. Okay, bye.